Crazy to think that creeping up on 50 recordings. It's cool. Neat little thought. Day 10, gratitude. Day 10 of 31. There's some interesting ways to go about this. I think, nice ways to just kick out of bed in the morning and, scribble down what's on your mind. What are you grateful for right then and there in that moment after you wake up. I also like doing it at the end of the day and reflecting on it because I think it draws your attention to maybe some small little corners of the day that you might normally just kind of forget or not pay too much attention to because they happen a lot. So you just start to take them for granted or they just fade into the regular noise of your routine. But today's for me, big time, was just conversations over a dinner table with Cassandra. No TV, phones away, and maybe a little music, a little vibe playing in the background can be really awesome. Maybe not. But just, two people, good dinner, home-cooked meal, just chatting, catching up, talking about various things. It's really special. Just conversation, interaction, connection over food is something really important, valuable to me. I like it so much, and I've talked about this before. I think food is kind of like a universal language in that way, and I don't know, really easy to sort of get to know somebody, and even if you already know them, over a good meal. Just nice little vulnerable, relaxing time. So man, just grateful for that today. Had a good dinner, catching up, and then today's workouts. And it also made me think about, I wonder how many people still do that and how often they do that. I mean, growing up for me, we did a lot of dinners at the table, little family dinners at the table. And I see all the reasons, but I'm not talking about like, this like table thumping. We got to go back to the times where we all sat down at a table and ate dinner and only drank milk or water. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying something that was a big part of my growing up. Appreciate it now. Definitely changed, but I wonder how often people do that, or if they only get a chance to like sit down and talk to somebody important, significant other, when they go out to dinner. But yeah, it sounds creepy just to stare, sit and stare, watch somebody else eat while you eat, and just enjoy that conversation. But something special there for sure. Moving on, today's workouts got a little crazier, a little looser than normal in the gym, which was kind of fun. Kind of did a little 3-parter. Got nuts. Yesterday's workout at the affiliate was AMRAP 9, I think 9 burpees to a target and 10 alternating single leg squats. And since I'm insane, I did AMRAP 10. Come on, 9? AMRAP 10 burpees to a target, and then 10 alternating dumbbell box step-ups instead of single leg squats. And for me, I don't know, single leg squats a pretty good movement for me. Probably could have weighted it. I was thinking that as I started it, but I really noticed how much I suck at dumbbell box step ups. So if there's an excuse to throw those in, I usually will. If it's a lunge, single leg squat, I usually throw a dumbbell box step up in there. I'm crappy at them. So I did it with 2 50-pound dumbbells and 20-inch box. I think I finished just around 7 rounds. And then spent 10 minutes working up to a heavy power snatch, which is something I did for the classes I taught today. 10 minutes up to a heavy power snatch, and then right into AMRAP 3 minutes max power snatches at 135 and 95 pounds. It was a cool workout. Tried to do no singles. Again, just kind of singles, something I've spent a lot of time getting good at in competing years. So especially because I don't do barbell cycling that often, just focusing on doing multiple rep sets. But I liked it. It's a good day. Then just kind of rolled right into the rest of the day and was thinking about, after episode 48 of this podcast, one of the things I was considering was like 48 was sort of the milestone in my head, as we had talked about, practicing something 48 times. Maybe that's arbitrary. Maybe I misremembered it. But either way, kind of a fun thing to, stick a post in the ground and say that's season 1 is 48 episodes. and maybe veer slightly away from just the rambly daily journal piece, and then focus on something a little bit different, which I had talked about earlier in one of the podcasts, this concept of not being able to share all the good advice I feel like I've picked up on from interesting people throughout my life, and wanting to sort of share that in a meaningful, constructive, consistent way. And so, this was, for me, was sort of the start of season 2. But I was wondering, maybe I should postpone that until I finish the gratitude. It's all arbitrary. It's just me thinking about how do I structure this. So maybe, I don't know where my head's at on that one. But we'll keep kicking it for now. Maybe we lock the gratitude up and start something new. But I think one of the things I want to do for a little bit is kick this off with a piece of advice. Got a lot of these written down, a thought, and sort of share some insight on that. One thing is colleague, friend of mine, McCoy Turner, worked with him on seminar staff, actually saw him go through his internship and develop as a coach here and there. At the time, he did not live in the U.S., lived up in the U.K., and he's been a world traveler ever since. MCCOY _TURNER. If you can check him out on Instagram, been putting out a ton of coaching tips and just just regular deep thought tips, just good stuff for your brain. A little brain, kind of brush your brain in the morning, like brushing your teeth. He had a really cool post today about imposter syndrome, and I guess somebody was asking him for advice on it and how he phrased it and how he approached it. I don't want to steal any of his thunder, but how he reframed the concept and sort of accepted some of the negative connotations with the concept and found a positive path out of it, I thought was pretty noteworthy and admirable and just cool to share. So go check that out if you got time. But something I thought would be neat to share today was a quote I heard from Jeremy Mhire, who's owner of CrossFit Springfield, probably one of the biggest affiliates both in membership and space that I've ever been to. Probably like 50 bazillion skier. It's a cool spot. Really interesting guy. Been involved in in CrossFit for a long time. But he said to me once, we were chatting after a seminar. He had hosted a seminar and I was down there working it. He said, Springfield, Missouri. Yeah. So he said, I'm not always satisfied, but overall what I do is fulfilling. And man, I thought this was just it's like a good little, like one of those little plaques. Just write that down on a Post-it note and you hang it on your computer. Keep that up in your office or somewhere. You're going to see it regularly. Write it down, flip it open, and, put a little piece of paper in your wallet, flip that open, read that. I'm not always satisfied, but overall what I do is fulfilling. I thought this was such a good point of reflection because I think sometimes we focus merely on getting satisfied in a moment. Now, is there any fulfillment that carries out from that? It's sort of that concept of like, hey, this feels good right now, but then it's very ephemeral, just disappears. Where, hey, you know what? I'm not always satisfied with everything I do. I'm not always happy with my effort. I'm not always happy with the efforts of my teammates. I want to be better, push harder, notice they do. I expect more of them. But overall, what I'm involved in is fulfilling. I look at day to day and I think, this is fulfilling. I'm on a path that I'm choosing and I enjoy. That's just a really cool way. A really cool way to kind of think about your day. And, if you're kind of stuck evaluating what is it you want to do, don't want to do. That was just framed really nicely. I've seen this. Where have I've also seen this with who says that? Happy but hungry. I think it might be a Noah Olson, CrossFit competitor. Happy but hungry. Also, I think a cool way to think about this. I just like the term fulfilling. I feel like, again, it was a little bit broader, longer lasting than maybe just feeling happy. But good question to ask yourself every once in a while, not too often. Are you just kind of satisfying the moment? Because it is. You do you kind of satisfy, like hunger comes back. But sometimes a good meal, both satisfies hunger and is really fulfilling. The meal I had tonight with Cassandra at the dinner table was satisfying because I was hungry, but it was fulfilling because of the company, the conversation, the substance of it. I don't know. You know, how much in your life do you do that is fulfilling? And what I also like about this quote is it leaves space for, you know, not everything always is, and that's okay. But overall, hopefully you're headed in that direction. I thought that was a cool thought. So I think we're going to hold out on season 2 till we finish the gratitude. That's the big epiphany of this, which probably nobody cares about. Anyway, we're rolling. Day 10 gratitude. We'll see you tomorrow.